When was a time that you feel like? When was a time that you did ask for help and you were thankful that you did ask for help? And when was a time that you really should have asked for help?
You said so. Pretty much, when should I ask?
When was a time, if you could think back, when was a time that you really think you telling yourself
that I should have
asked for help?
versus when
And
I actually
did
did.
it, yeah. And and then I want to know both. When was the time you did ask for help, and what was the turnout of it? If it was positive, negative, whatever, you could share one. And then what was one that you didn't ask for help
that you wish
you should have?
All right, so I'll start with the wish I wish I asked for help. I think it was when I started doing, I guess, weddings, and I wish I should have asked for help, but I figured I could just do it myself. But then I realized it was a lot more work than anticipated, and I didn't even honestly research because I thought having a second shooter was making the job easier for yourself, which was smart. But it wasn't a fact of easier. It was a factor of efficient coverage, while you can focus on different things, because you have to focus on the bride's moments, and you can't be in two places at the same time, because those are different moments. So it's good to capture them, because maybe the bride is texting the husband at the same time, and their reactions become changed.
So you're saying you should have. So basically, you did a wedding and it didn't turn out.
Well, when I did it by myself, and I should have taken a cut in my pay too to pay out a second shooter, a professional, versus trying to get my friends to help shoot, even though they're familiar with the camera. So I figured I should have paid an actual professional, and then took a pay cut, and then just had an efficient gig.
But that's because, like what I just said, I would say I'm the same way. Like, you're like a perfectionist. I think when you're a perfectionist and a hard worker, that shit is tough. Because you're like, well, there's no other Zane.
It also affects your relationships too.
Oh yeah, big time.
Because then you have this high expectations on if I'm working this hard,
the other person should be doing the same.
You should be doing this, and if you're not working to my caliber, that means you don't love me, you don't like me, and then all these things because you're not working as hard as me to you.
That sounds very traumatic. Like, like
it is. It is.
Nah, but I think it is very traumatic. There's a lot of people like that. So that was one that you feel like you should have.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was one that you did ask for help?
I think I asked for. I think I posted something that I don't know. I think I had problems with my car. I had no gas. I think I made a Facebook post, and then one of my old coworkers hit me up in the messenger because I said I don't know if I had to like sell my car or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He hit me up and he's like, "Yo, what's going on?" He's like, "You need gas? I got you." So he went, he got gas, put it in the container. I had no money really at all. He's like, "Don't worry about it, just pay it forward." And he had like a son like around my age, so he made So he drove from Clifton to my house, gave me the tank, I put it in my car, helped me put it in the car, and then that was it.
See how powerful that was because you asked, and if you didn't
ever since then, that was before the magazine. I've always did the pay it forward method. So if I did something nice to you, great, pay that forward. And I've been doing it for years now.
Yeah.
Whether they pay it back or not, that's not up to you. But you doing something nice, and they ask you what they can pay you with. Pay that same kindness forward.
What about you? What was something that you feel like you should have asked for help with, and what something that maybe you didn't?
I don't know, because it's like I've been trying to think like the whole time. Like, when is the time that I should have asked for help?
Makes you think. I'm trying to think of mine as well. Like when.
That's when you check your pride and be like, that's at that moment. That's where the pride is. Is where you should have, but you're like, why didn't I ask? You know.
No, I guess like, what's it called? When I moved away from the Bronx and stuff like that, like I really didn't know like where to go and all that, and like I went into like a shelter during that time, and I was with my son. He was like 1, and then like basically I didn't even bother like asking anyone like, hey, like this is going on. Can I stay here? Can I stay there? And like I ended up like going into a shelter, and I was there for like 6 months, and I'm like, damn. And then my mom's like, well, you should have spoken to me. Like, you know, I'm like, lady, you live in public housing. Like in a way, like I was kind of being considerate to her and everything. But like during that point, like I should have asked, like, hey, can I stay here for a little bit so I get on my feet? And then, you know.
Nah, I agree. And it's because you don't want to, like you said, and most of the time, I think it's always because you don't even want to inconvenience that person. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to, like, you know what they're going through. You know, you're like, I don't want to do that. So it's like it gets like that. Like I don't want to. You know, you're in a tight spot or whatever. So that's right. And what about one time that you did ask for help and you're thankful, or maybe it didn't go the right way, whatever. So when's the time that you did ask for help, and what do you got to say about that?
When my baby daddy, I told him to do the dishes. It wasn't that good, but at least he did it. No, like I looked at it like after he was done, I was like, man, I should just wash these fucking dishes myself.
Yo, it'd be like that,
it
right?
does. I mean, like, and it's crazy how that happens. I'll be looking at my dishes because I make sure that shit is gleaming.
Yeah.
And then if it's not gleaming, so what's going on here?
Why you not cleaning right?
Why are you not cleaning right? Maybe you need to do more dishes. You know what I'm saying?
That reminds me, because you might not know about it yet, but you're gonna know about it in a couple of years. So when you ask Liam to help you with the dishes.
Nah, he already helps cleaning now. So
I started young.
Dishes and glass and all that.
You know, he's 3, but when he was 2, he used to grab the broom to try to help me clean.
Hey, look at that.
I already got him
but
there.
dishes, you said, when do you think he's going to start with dishes?
As soon as he could.
Like tomorrow.
Right?
You want to be honest? How old is Liam?
He's 3.
3?
By next year.
The moment I was able to reach over into the sink, my mom made me wash dishes. I wasn't tall enough. I was probably like 5 or 6 when I started doing dishes.
Like 5 step stools.
Exactly. I was short, but I wasn't.
No, I have a step stool in the house too, so don't worry.
Yeah,
it's like he gonna hit that. He gonna be like, Mom.
Yeah.
And he tries to help me clean his bottles. He's like, Mommy, I cleaning. I was like, damn right you are.
And luckily for me, the sink wasn't as deep, so like my mom had like a way where like I was able to do it, but she didn't expect too much. But if I ate, you definitely washing your dish. Like whatever your plate.
3.
Make sure you didn't have to. I didn't have to wash all the plates, but I just had to make sure I had to wash my plate and my cup. Whatever I use, you have to wash that. And then ever since I was older, it's been like that. So you'll always dishes are already at the end of the night done.
We tried doing that with Jay. Jay, I think 5 to 6 is when she, like definitely 5 is when she would do it. But what I laugh is because it took a long time for them to be good. And it's just funny because it's just like, you come home or whatever and you go grab it. And then you're like, wait a minute. Did Jay do this? Oh, yeah.
Like every Saturday, Sunday, they'd be like my mom would play like the old school romantic music and I'd be like, I just want to watch my cartoons.
That's the cue.
Like, I just want to watch my cartoons. That's it.
Right? That's it.
Nope.
So I'm trying to think about for mine. So for mine, when I should have asked for help, it's funny. The first thing that came to my mind, and it was when I was younger. I was I'm talking like probably 8, 9, 10. I lived with my mom only, and that's when she was starting to have a pretty rough time in her life. So I always wanted to like learn or kind of get better at like basketball shit, football, riding a bike, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So my dad wasn't really around, right? So Anthony, my neighbor, right? He would teach me little stuff here and there, but like not as much, right? But when I was a kid, I should have just asked, like, yo, fam, bring me over here real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up with a shitload of kids, and we, like I said, we were all like a foster family. So I probably think I should have went back and asked, like, yo, fam, you want to like, yo, show me to fucking do like. It wouldn't even ask. I would just attempt to try to like do it or learn. And it took me so long. Like, I was probably already like 14, 15, just learning how to fucking, fuck with like some basic sports shit or how to do sports shit, or like to fucking ride a bike, shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, when I was young, definitely should have asked for that. And then when I actually asked and what the response it was of that, probably because I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but probably the first time it was actually a story I wanted to get into because of this topic, but was when I was starting to get real bad money wise in like late 2016. So right at the start of this podcast, I was getting like really fucking bad because I ended up taking I was paying for 2 car payments, 2 high insurance. So I was paying $1,600 a month.
Oh my
just
God.
in cars.
It's rent.
That's more than rent, and I was paying rent. So between rent and my car payment at the time, because I had 2 cars, 2 car insurances, not by choice, but not kind of by choice. That's a different story that I can't say on the pod. But basically 2 cars I had, whatever at the time, $1,600 a month, plus rent of $1,100 a month. We're looking at $2,700 a month already just for a car and for where I live. Not counting PSE&G. I'm not counting the gym membership. I'm not counting food. You see where I'm going with this? Like, my bills at that time were coming close to $5,000. You know, or whatever, maybe less than that. But like I said, the fucking housing in the cars alone was $2,700.
And you wish that you asked for help, or you wish
I was thankful that I did at the point.
that you did ask for help.
Yes, because I asked for help, but I was kind of forced into that, and that's what I was actually a story I was going to get into next. Is at least for me, like that's kind of what shifted me at that moment, because it was getting bad. Like I said, you know, probably close to like 3,500, 3,000. You know what I'm saying? Spending almost $1,000 a month on food or whatever, plus going out all little bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's like probably close to 35 to 4,000 just a month on bills. And my income wasn't at that space because I quit my job, but I was when I quit Sprint the first time. And then I started doing Uber full time because I needed that freedom. I was like, I can't be doing the 9 to 5 shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I went to Uber. On Uber, I was making $800 a week. I made but I was working my ass off every single day. I was working late nights and shit. So I was making about $800 a week. But that's the thing. It didn't even add up to my bills. You know what I'm saying? It didn't fucking add up. And then once you those, $1,600 a month, once that keeps going, it just keeps fucking up. Mm-hmm. And fucking rent, all that shit. So thank God I was getting real caught up. And shout out to the 2 original hosts of the show. I was getting pretty close with Hitomi and Walt. And they were just like, yo, fam, like, you gotta ask for help. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta ask. Like, because I'm not, I'll just fucking keep. Usually, you know what I'm saying? I keep digging that shit. And I was stressing out or whatever, and it was just a lot. And then it got to a point where Hitomi and Walt were just like, mainly, I shout out to Hitomi. She's like, yo, you gotta like ask. You just have to. And then I asked, and then it was a fucking big help. You know what I'm saying? Like, just loans. You know what I'm saying? Oh, pay me back. Loans. But it's like, fam, if I didn't, if I didn't get, and at that point is when I pivoted. Since then, when I really do need the help, I fucking ask. You know what I'm saying? It took me, I guess, for that to really realize. But I was the same way all my life growing up, and I think, like you said, a lot of the same reasons. Almost like you had to. You were forced to not ask for help. Yeah. Because you didn't have anyone really to
rely on.
Yeah.
Or felt comfortable enough to ask.
Yeah.
You ever just be around people that if you ask them, they're going to give you shit? Yeah. Or they're like, oh, remember that time? And they reminding you of times that they did favors. And then all those things that you're around those people, that makes you not want to ask for help. But if you're around people that, like you, for example, we're just like, oh, if I ask you for something, I don't feel some type of way that I asked you. Or you won't rain it down on my head that, oh, I asked for help and this, that, and the third. Then of course, maybe you'd be more likely to ask for help without that kind of negative.
Yeah, the entitlement. My mom has that.
Yeah, the entitlement. Yeah. But if you're around that, then asking for help becomes very challenging.